Welcome back to the Remax Central Property Show with David and Cameron. Cameron, this week, quite a lot of people will be going out there looking at show houses and maybe even viewing houses independently themselves with certain agents. Can you give us some tips on what people should be looking for? Because a lot of people sort of just walk around the house and have a glance around, but what should people be doing if they are going to look at a property?
And everyone out there, I think it's really important not to be rushed into making an offer to purchase. It's really important to do a proper, full physical inspection of the property. Now, obviously, on a Sunday show house, you may not feel that you have that opportunity. There might be a lot of other guests that have attended that show house, so it just doesn't feel right to be, wandering around and poking around. I think the right thing to do would be to make, ideally, a second appointment to go and view the property. And on viewing that property, really take your time. I would suggest, even for a small property, you're looking at, spending about an hour at that property, looking at some of the physical aspects of that house. Just take you through some of those physical things that you should be looking at. Number one is, if you're buying a home, firstly, look at the line of the roof. Does that roof, is it straight or is it starting to bow? If it's starting to bow, that could point to structural problems. And that's a long-term major cash issue. That's going to cost you a lot of money to have repaired, and possibly that will sway you from not putting an offer to purchase in on that property. Other things, and more simplistic, would be to look at things like the plumbing, the flow rate of the water. So going around, opening literally all the taps in the house, making sure there's enough pressure that's coming through. As we've heard very often, sometimes it's just a simple thing of taking the strainer out and making sure there's no sand in that.
Okay. And in terms of the physical things people can see quite quickly and quite easily, is there things I should be doing with electrics and lights and these sorts of things?
Again, switch on all the lights in every single room, making sure that all the bulbs are burning. Now, I don't believe there's a house in South Africa where all the bulbs work all the time. But it's always a good idea to see if there are major issues where in one room the lights just don't come on. One of the other ones that we've found comes up quite commonly is that the 3-pin adapters that go into the walls, very often you find that you can't actually even press a plug into them for whatever reason. There might be ants behind there. They've now filled that electrical socket with sand. So it's a good idea to literally take a dummy plug through and try and push those dummy plugs in. The other common one that comes up is obviously the stove. Ask the estate agent or the owner of the property if you can put the stove on, put the oven on, and just to make sure that things like that are working. Like we've said in the past, the electrical compliance certificate really only covers the safety of the property. It doesn't cover the fact that everything's actually working. It's just covering the fact that, yes, those products in that home are not going to cause any damage to the occupant.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for those tips, Cameron.
Absolute pleasure.
We'll see you again next week. Again, any questions you may have, the email address is coming up. If not, have a great weekend. Thanks. Goodbye.